Bird flu scare prompts mass cull of Hong Kong poultry. More bodies recovered from AirAsia crash. And the world begins to welcome 2015. Good evening. There are less than 15 minutes to go before we welcome a brand new year. Tens of thousands are at the city's vantage point in anticipation of the countdown and the big party ahead. To tell us more, Rani Samtani joins us from Tsim Sha Tsui.
Hi, Joao. We are just minutes away from 2015. Hundreds of thousands of people have filled the piazza outside the cultural center and have been cheering and getting ready to ring in the new year. Just before midnight, a countdown from 20 will be displayed on an LED screen at the Convention and Exhibition Center. And when the clock strikes 12, our glistening Victoria Harbour skyline will be filled with fireworks and a special pyro-musical display. Wishing you all a very, very happy new year from me here in Tsim Sha Tsui. Back to you in the studio, Joao.
Happy New Year, Rani. That was Rani Samtani reporting from Tsim Sha Tsui. We will have live coverage of the countdown later. In other news, government staff have culled 19,000 live poultry as part of their campaign to stop the spread of bird flu. And the Cheung Sha Wan temporary wholesale poultry market will be closed for 21 days. All this after chicken samples from neighbouring Guangdong province tested positive for the H7 virus. Owen Fung reports.
Cleaners began disinfecting the Cheung Sha Wan temporary wholesale poultry market early this morning. Donning protective gear, staff from the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department began culling poultry there at around 9 a.m. They slaughtered 19,000 live poultry.
Cheung Sha Wan market have to be closed for sterilization for 21 days, and this will mean that the supply from mainland for live poultry will also have to be suspended for the same period of time.
The suspension came after samples from a consignment of 1,200 live chickens from a farm in Huizhou in Guangdong province tested positive for the H7 virus. Ko says the farm will need to pass relevant inspections after 21 days before it can start supplying live poultry to Hong Kong again. The Centre for Health Protection will also monitor the health of those who came into contact with the consignment. Officials will inspect all 29 poultry farms in Hong Kong over the next few days before live poultry will be put on sale. That would mean the supply of live poultry will be suspended in the coming days. Now, during the closure of the Cheung Sha Wan wholesale market, local chickens will be dispatched to the retailers via the Ta Koo Leng checkpoint once they're inspected and cleared of the virus. Previously, all local and imported live poultry were delivered to the Cheung Sha Wan temporary poultry wholesale market. The animals would then be assigned to different vehicles for distribution according to their routes. But the Ta Koo Leng checkpoint, which was established in June this year, operates under a different system. The same vehicle that transports live poultry there will need to distribute consignments to different retail outlets after a 3-hour inspection.
It's really a checkpoint to facilitate the supply of local chicken from farms to the outlet.
But local chicken traders are not happy with the arrangement. They say it could take many hours for the same vehicle to complete its deliveries. This afternoon, they met with officials from the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department to discuss the issue. But the two sides failed to resolve their differences. Chicken traders have now decided to suspend their business for 21 days until the Cheung Sha Wan market reopens. And at least one of them is threatening to file a judicial review against the use of the Ta Koo Leng checkpoint. Owen Fung, TVB News.
ATV News will cancel its morning news show starting tomorrow as part of its adjustments to deal with a lack of staff and the station's inability to pay employees in full. It's believed the English news team will stay on to produce the minimum required by ATV's license conditions. Diane Toh reports.
ATV News management confirmed today that they'd received resignations from staff members but couldn't give an exact number. With fewer hands on deck, there will be some adjustments to news programming starting tomorrow. From New Year's Day onwards, the morning news show, news updates and Putonghua news of the station's Chinese news service, as well as its Asia Channel news, will all be cancelled. The noon, main and late Chinese newscasts will be shortened. As for English news, there will no longer be news updates, but it's believed the team has decided to stay on and produce the 2 nightly 15-minute newscasts as required by its free-to-air license. Senior Vice President of the News and Public Affairs Department, Lau Lan Cheng, admitted that this will mean some losses in viewership. But he said these are necessary cuts in the face of inadequate manpower. ATV paid its staff members half of their November salaries yesterday and said it would pay the other half in early January. Managing news editor Lo Pui King said she can see that the management is trying hard to find the money for staff wages, but feels staying behind to continue with her work without a long-term solution being discussed is simply not viable. It's her last day at work today, but Law clarified that she didn't resign. Instead, she is terminating her contract according to a provision under the Employment Ordinance. She said it's a personal decision to leave, partly also because she didn't want to be producing news of poor quality. But there are some who insist on staying, at least until early January, to see if the company is able to pay up. A member of the production crew said he still feels there is hope. He added that he has emotional ties to the company as he has worked there for a long time. Diane To, TVB News.
A University of Hong Kong poll shows half of the respondents are not happy with the overall development of the city over the past year. The results give a net satisfaction rate of negative 28 percentage points, which is a 12-year low, and people tend to be less optimistic about the coming year. With the year's end fast approaching, the public opinion program of the University of Hong Kong has gauged the feelings of the population. Having interviewed over 1,000 people on the phone, it found that half of the respondents were dissatisfied with the city's development over the past year. Only 22% said they were satisfied, giving a net satisfaction of negative 28 percentage points, the lowest in 12 years. Among the most dissatisfied were those aged 18 to 29. As for those in the 30-49 age group, they were the most pessimistic with regards to the coming year. Still, 50% said they were happy in 2015 and only 17% felt otherwise. Respondents were also asked about their wishes for 2015. When asked to make a choice between a prosperous, corruption-free, fair or welfare society, the majority, or 27%, said they wanted Hong Kong to become more corruption-free. As for the most pressing issue to be dealt with in 2015, 34% chose housing, 27% picked constitutional reform, a new 20-year high. Turning overseas, the hunt continues for the victims of the AirAsia flight which crashed in the Java Sea while flying from Indonesia to Singapore. Searchers have recovered 7 bodies and some debris, but the cockpit voice and flight data recorders to help investigators understand what happened have yet to be found. Alan Bookney reports.
The first proof of the jet's fate emerged yesterday in an area about 16 kilometers from where it dropped off radar screens Sunday morning. Debris and bodies were found about 160 kilometers from land off Borneo Island. The Airbus 320 aircraft vanished halfway through its flight from Surabaya to Singapore. Some of the bodies and debris were taken to the nearest town, Pangkalan Bun, in Indonesia's central Kalimantan province. The debris included a suitcase that appeared to be in perfect condition and an oxygen tank. Several countries are helping Indonesia retrieve the wreckage and bodies, including the U.S. with its superior technology.
Towed pinger locators that can be used, that's a passive sonar device that can be used to help triangulate and fix on the ocean floor the black boxes, for instance. The side scan sonar, that's something that not very many navies have available to them.
A British aviation expert says that despite the strong currents and high surf hampering the recovery efforts, he doesn't expect the search to take very long.
I read